everyone, welcome to Mum's Eye View channel. I'm Ruth Crilly from A Model Recommends, and today I'm going to be showing you 3 really quick and easy snacks. I'm 33 weeks pregnant at the moment, and I have to say that I found it a lot more difficult than I thought it would be to eat healthily during my pregnancy. I just wanted stuff that was ready immediately when the urge took me, and more often than not there wasn't anything healthy ready. And so today I wanted some things that were just completely fuss-free, really rustic, easy to throw together, but they're a little bit more healthy than buying ready-made stuff and being tempted by naughty treats like chocolates and biscuits and things like that. I'm really useless at following recipes because I don't like being told what to do. So there are quite a few little tweaks and changes and customisations that you can make to all of these recipes. But if you want to see the originals, they're all on the Asda website, and let's get started with the first recipe. Now the first recipe is so easy it can barely be called a recipe. It's kind of like a homemade guacamole, except that this recipe has sour cream added, which kind of makes the avocado go a little bit further. Now I'm tweaking this recipe, as can you, just to your own taste, because you might like it a little bit spicier, you might like it with no chilli in at all, you can add garlic if you want to, you can adjust the level of the lime juice, so it's all very customizable. And I'm actually using creme fraiche instead of sour cream just because I kind of prefer the taste and the texture. So taking my avocado and I'm just mashing that in the bowl, and then we're adding in the chilli and the chopped coriander, and then taking lime. You can measure this out if you want, it's 1 to 2 tablespoons, but I just give it a good old squeeze and then mixing all of that together. Now I could just eat it like this, to be quite honest with you, but it is true that adding in your sour cream or your creme fraiche does make things a little bit creamier, and it makes it more into a dip, so you could have this for lunch with a salad or some grilled chicken or something like that. And then mixing that in, you can see that you get that really lovely creamy texture with a bit of a kick. And I'm going to eat this with sliced pita bread. Now the next recipe is almost as easy. This is just a really simple tomato bruschetta. And what I find really works for me, I'm tweaking the recipe slightly again, is if I make up the topping in advance and have a nice big bowl of that, then I can just scoop it out onto ciabatta if I want that, or just plain toast if I don't have any ciabatta, or anything you have like wholemeal pita, that'll work just fine. So let's get started. First of all, tomatoes, as I said, nice and ripe, but really it's all about giving them a nice rustic chop. This doesn't have to be neat, but you want quite small pieces. When I've added them to the bowl, that's when I like to add my little bit of balsamic vinegar, little bit of salt, just because I really like salt on my tomatoes. Don't do too much, obviously, because I'm trying to be healthy. And then although you could sprinkle on your onions separately, I like to mix them in because I do find that the acidity of the tomatoes just takes away the strength of the onion. So I mix it all together and then I kind of let it all macerate until I need it. And then the ciabatta. I'm just going to take nice little slices of the bread and taking my olive oil. It says to brush both sides of the bread with oil, but I don't have a brush, so I'm just kind of sprinkling it on and then rubbing it in with my fingertips. And then taking those slices and popping them under the grill. Okay, now out of the grill. And once those have cooled down a bit, I'm just going to rub very lightly with my cut clove of garlic. And then just heaping on my tomato mixture and topping with some fresh basil, just tearing that on. And there we have it, just a really simple, easy tomato bruschetta. Really love this one because it feels very fresh and healthy. Now the third recipe is a broad bean dip. So nice, fresh, healthy, really lovely flavours again. I'm using frozen broad beans for this because I find it really, really convenient. And I'm boiling those off for about 5 minutes. And then in a separate pan, I've got my chopped shallots and I've got my crushed garlic. So they take about the same amount of time to get them both going, and then they'll be ready and you won't have to do any waiting around. You also need this bit of our good old creme fraiche, and you can either mix this into the dip at the end, because I think it's quite nice as a dip that you can just use your bread to scoop it out, but actually in the recipe it kind of assembles everything on a muffin, which is also quite a nice idea. And then we've got some mint and some Wensleydale cheese. So let's make this dip. I'm taking my broad beans first of all, popping them into the blender cup. Obviously if you have a food processor you can do it in that. If you've got a hand blender you can put everything in a bowl and just blend it that way. That's what they do in the recipe. Shallots and garlic, and then my mint. Now if you find this mixture a little bit difficult to blend, you can always add some creme fraiche just to loosen it up a bit. I'm going to add my creme fraiche into the mix anyway because I want this to be a dip that I can just dunk my bread into. The smell of the mint from this is absolutely gorgeous. So we can serve this one of two ways. Obviously add as much creme fraiche as you want to taste. You can either build it up onto a piece of bread, so it could be a pita, or I'm using some ciabatta because I had that for the last as a recipe. And then you could top with a bit more creme fraiche if you wanted to, though I don't think it really needs it. And then this Wensleydale is so lovely and crumbly. So it's a bit like feta, and actually you could use feta if you didn't want to use Wensleydale. Or you can take your cheese and then you can crumble that into your dip and then just scoop it out with your bread. Messy, but delicious. So I hope that I've given you some inspiration there for a bit of healthier snacking, especially if you're a busy mum or maybe you're pregnant and you're tempted by a lot of the naughtier treats. So please make sure that you subscribe to the Mum's Eye View channel and give this video a big like, and I'll see you next time.